All right, here we are today, and I want to welcome all of our audience to our Inside DevMission episode number 9. I've been looking forward to this episode for a long time, not because of the caliber of the personality we have today, but the long-term relationship that we have developed to continue to build the next generation of tech talent. So today, it's a pleasure to introduce one of my dear colleagues, friends, supporters, collaborators, and mentors, Kurtis Nusbaum. How are you today, Kurtis?
I'm doing pretty well, Leo.
Nice. Thank you for being able to join this wonderful conversation today. And I can't wait for everyone to learn about your role with the organization since we started 4 years ago. So let's get right into it because I know everyone is excited to get to know more about yourself. So Kurtis, could you please tell everyone out there what is your full name, even though I said it, and your role at the organization DevMission?
Yeah, my name is Kurtis Nusbaum, and I'm one of the co-founders of DevMission, as well as I serve on its board of directors.
Thank you very much for saying that. Now, I think it's great for the audience to also know how long do we know each other. So can you share with the audience how did we meet and how long we've been working together?
Leo, it's been what? It was 2013 that we first met, I think. So it's been over 8 years now that we've been working together. I remember, so at the time I was employed at Facebook. And Facebook hosted a community mixer with local members of the community, leaders in the community. And I was really interested because I wanted to see if there was anyone there who also had the desire to share knowledge regarding careers in tech and learning about computers and software development. And so Facebook hosted this mixer, and I met a lot of interesting people. But I think both of us, when we met at that mixer, we kind of walked away with like, oh, okay, maybe there's something here. And ever since then, our relationship has taken many forms, yeah. But we've been working together for on and off for the last 8 years, and then particularly since 2017, we've been working together really hand in hand to help develop DevMission.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. And I still remember that day. And after that meeting, I still remember some of the future conversations we had at that time to start getting you involved with the work that I was doing back then. And most importantly, as we start thinking about this idea of getting DevMission launched, you were one of the first ones to say, yes, I'll definitely make it happen. And here we are 4 years later having this wonderful conversation. So why don't we go a little bit more deeper into your involvement with the organization? You mentioned that you're one of the co-founders, so we want to thank you for making that happen. Away from that, you're one of our board members. At some time, you also wore a hat as our CTO, and all the volunteer opportunities that you have provided have been amazing. But tell me more, and tell the audience as well, what has been your involvement with the organization for those 4 years?
Yeah, so a lot of my involvement centers around the relationship that DevMission has with my current employer, Uber. And we've done just a lot of great work together. So actually, some of the very first meetings that DevMission had as a official thing were actually at Uber. I can still remember, I've still got pictures from back in 2017 up on the 20th floor of our 555 building. I would just reserve a conference room every week and just be like, all right, everybody come on up. Let's go, let's hang out, let's learn about computers, let's learn about coding. And since then, I've done a lot of things. I've helped coordinate on-site visits at Uber. I've helped we've done a lot of fundraising, and we've helped coordinate getting recycled and refurbished tech from Uber into DevMission's hands. And I've also in addition to all of this work, I've also served on the board of directors, and that's involved a lot of really interesting stuff, encountering a lot of problems and challenges I would have never expected. Just trying to help guide the organization and get us to a place where where we can grow and even serve more young adults. Those are some of the kind of like the top things that come to mind. There's a bunch of little stuff we've done in between. I in some of the early days I was teaching some coding, teaching data structures. I also helped mentor some of the young adults that are part of the DevMission program. We've had some of our very early students were working one-on-one with me to try and help launch their careers. And we've seen a lot of success there. So it's been really, really cool to kind of see the whole organization grow, and then watch my involvement with the organization grow as well, and kind of mature and adapt to the needs of the organization.
Great, thank you for sharing that. And not only for myself, but the rest of the board of directors, we want to thank you for being so committed and so loyal to the work, because sometimes it takes a lot of energy, sacrifice, and commitment to make that happen. So we know there will be no DevMission without you as one of the anchors, as one of the pioneers of the work that we have done. So thank you for sharing those wonderful conversations in respect of the involvement.
The one other thing I should share is also I've been helping develop our Uber fellowship program, where we bring young adults into Uber and teach them how to code, and we actually give them a stipend and we pay them while they're learning all this coding. So developing that program, making sure that that program has the resources it needs to keep going forward and succeed, is also another kind of one of the hats that I wear.
Great. I was going to ask you about that as well. So I'm glad you were able to have that segue into the conversation. So why don't you share with the audience a little bit more about this Uber Fellowship Program, which has been an introduction to full stack development, and your involvement, if I'm not mistaken, now for 3 years, which is also very exciting.
Yeah, so the idea kind of sprung out of a want from me to help really give students an option to learn more about coding after they graduate the DevMission pre-apprenticeship program. So maybe you're a student, you've just finished up the pre-apprenticeship program, you've been studying IT, you've been studying hardware, you've been working on your soft skills, working on your resume, and you also did some of this coding stuff, and you found that the coding stuff really spoke to you. You want to learn more about that. We didn't really have we had some avenues that we could point you to in terms of DevMission, like handing you off to maybe another organization like Year Up, but we didn't have any like really firm pathways to help you keep growing that particular skill if it was something you're interested in. In addition to that, I'm always looking for ways to help Uber, my company, source local talent from SF. So I was looking for something that could help me kind of build this bridge. I've got someone who isn't quite ready for a full-time job yet, but is really interested in doing software development. And I've got a place where I'd like to see them maybe one day eventually be employed. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to fully bridge that gap, but we can at least start building from at least one of those sides. And what we came up with was this Uber Fellowship program. So it teaches some very basic foundational full stack, what we call full stack development. So you learn how to do everything. You learn how to do backend, you learn how to do front end, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, but also Node.js, which teaches you how to do stuff on the backend and interact with databases. And we put a really great team together for this. Francis Lee, who's another one of our board of directors, helped develop the curriculum, which I got to say is super fantastic. Huge shout out to Francis. We wouldn't be able to do the fellowship program without the help of Francis. And what we've seen now is we've run a couple cohorts where we've had some students come in, learn this full stack development, and then graduate afterwards with a pretty decent knowledge of at least the fundamentals of building a full stack web application. We've had great success with some of our alumni. One of them, Melanie, has actually gone off. She's doing a 4-year CS degree program over at Santa Cruz, and I'm sure there are many others. So we look forward to actually developing that program more. And there's other programs that Uber is working on as well, like Uber Career Prep, where we can actually start fully bridging that gap of like, okay, someone who started in DevMission is now employed at a place like Uber. So that's what I'm excited about the most, actually, is looking forward, building out the rest of the programs, making the rest of the connections so that we can fully bridge that gap from someone who's interested in software to someone who's employed in software.
Wow, that's a lot of hats that you're wearing. So I'm really, really excited that you have been able to allocate time. But now let's get into a little bit about your trajectory into the tech industry. So maybe you can start by telling everybody, in this type of environment, of course, it's a virtual environment and can't wait for us to get together down the road, our headquarters and other locations that we have. But can you give yourself a little bit about your background and how did you get started in tech so the audience can also get an idea in a personal level about not only how you learned the trade, but also how you've been able to accomplish everything you've done so successfully?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of it is, well, a lot of it actually is luck, right? So I got lucky enough that I went to a high school that actually taught AP computer science. And I'd always been kind of interested in computers. I'd played video games and I thought this would be a really fun class to take. And I took it and I ended up just absolutely loving it. So when I graduated from high school, I knew that what I wanted to study in college was computer science. So I went to college at St. John's University in Minnesota, which is where I'm from originally. And I just got my 4-year bachelor's degree in computer science. I think I threw in a math minor there as well. And when I graduated from there, I had a little interest in supercomputing, high performance computing. I'd helped some of our professors out doing research in this area. And so I decided to go to graduate school. And so I went over to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, which has just a really stellar computer science program. And I was studying there, I was doing my master's on a trajectory to get a PhD. And I found that the program just wasn't quite working for me. It wasn't as hands-on as I wanted it to be. I wasn't building enough stuff. And while I was there, I got involved with an organization called ACM. In this particular instance, the UIUC chapter of the ACM. And I met a lot of really wonderful people there. Again, got super lucky. And they pointed me to one of the Facebook recruiters at the time. So my last year, my second year studying for my master's, I actually started doing interviews. And one of the interviews that I did was with Facebook. And long story short, I ended up getting a job offer there and decided to take it. And so in 2013, I moved out to the Bay Area. I settled in the Mission in San Francisco, and I started working at Facebook. And I worked there for about 2 years. And after that, I decided it was time to kind of make a move. I didn't really want to do the commute down to the South Bay anymore. So that's when another friend who I'd met while working at Facebook, again, kind of got lucky, talking to the right people, told me that Uber was hiring and offered to give me a recommendation, and so give me a referral. And so, again, there went through the interview process, and that's how I ended up in my job at Uber. My job at Uber was kind of interesting in that I started as an Android developer. That's what I was doing at Facebook, because I was working on the Messenger app for Android. And I got hired onto a team. I was doing some Android development, and they said, "Oh, actually, the thing that you're building, we don't have the backend for that's not ready yet." I said, "Oh, okay, well, we were using Python at the time," and I was like, "I know Python," so I went and started building out the backend stuff. And so for a while there, I was writing Python and doing the Android code, just because we didn't have enough people. And sometime along there, I got interested in, there was a database technology that Uber was working on. And so I noticed that and decided to move over onto that team. And then about a year and a half later, there was another project that was going on that was even deeper in the stack, way down in our infrastructures, dealing with our data centers. And I switched over to that team. And so I had this very interesting trajectory at Uber, from going all the way at the top of the stack, working on mobile development, all the way down to the bottom, working with bare metal hardware in our data centers. That's been kind of my arc. It's been an interesting path, taking me all the way from Minnesota to Illinois and then out here to California.
Wow, I'm so excited that I was able to finally hear some of those little details. And as you and I were working together, it brings back that memory about the brick building and the Python class that you decided to implement with a couple of friends at the time from Facebook. And I still remember the joy of these young people that came in. Python, what is Python? And I saw you teaching, and I was just like, man, he really knows his stuff. But most importantly, he wants to share the knowledge. So if I might take this opportunity, Kurtis, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience with young people that perhaps don't know what that career path is going to look. And along the way, you mentioned a few, words that are very impactful for young people, right? It's about networking. It's about who you know. So as we go into the next question, I think you're going to definitely fit right into the idea to get more young people excited and exposed to careers in tech. So what advice would you have for young people that are thinking to break into the tech industry? What can you say to them, not only based on your experience, but based on what you're seeing out there?
Yeah, there's two big pieces of advice that I think I would give. The first is kind of what you mentioned is networking, is getting out there, getting to know people. There's a saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And to a large degree, that is very, very, very true. So doing programs like DevMission are a great way to get introduced to people that might be able to help you progress in your career. Doing things like the Uber Fellowship Program is another really great way where you will get to meet people, and then perhaps those people are folks that you reach out to, maybe not in the next few weeks, the next few months, but maybe a few years down the line, you become connected on LinkedIn, and you shoot them a message, and maybe they can help you get your next offer. The second thing is to invest in your education, whatever form that may take. I think for a lot of people, the safest bet is actually to go get a 4-year CS degree. But sometimes it can be pretty frightening to take that jump. So that's why you should leverage the options that are available to you. In San Francisco, we have City College, right? So do your first 2 years studying computer science at City College. That's free if you're a resident of SF. And if after 2 years, or you're still liking it, transfer to a 4-year program, get that finish up, get that 4-year degree. And if not, if after 2 years you're like, this is not for me, or if after 1 year or one semester of the classes, this isn't, that you find out it's not for you, then you haven't lost a ton. So those are kind of my two big pieces of advice: is do your networking, but then also have the skills to kind of back that up when the opportunities do come your way.
Great. Thank you for sharing those two wonderful advices to not only the young people that we continue to support, but if anybody out there is thinking about potentially becoming part of the tech industry, you heard it first from not only someone that has been devoting his time for the past 8 years to do this amazing work, but I can't wait to see other opportunities that you can create with this organization and beyond. So going back a little bit about the work that you have done with the Uber Fellowship and the coaching, and even part of the open labs that we had as well at our headquarters, and on Tuesdays where all these youth come in with their laptops, again being donated by Uber, and say, hey, I want to learn Python, or I need to get some help on data structures. Let's focus a little bit more on that career trajectory, right? Which is to become a full stack developer or software engineer, software developer. What are some of the strengths that you feel young people need to prepare themselves as they think about that journey, years from now? Because it takes time. We know that. But in order for them to learn what those soft skills are and the hard skills. So what type of strengths do you believe young people need to have to follow those footsteps that you have been able to accomplish?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's helped me is I've always been a bit of a self-starter, right? No one's going to hand you this. No one's just going to give it to you. You have to want it, and you have to go and pursue it. So learning ways to help yourself follow up on things, right? So if you ask for someone to give you something, or if you're trying to sign up for a class, being persistent and making sure that, being respectful always, but following up on things, making sure that stuff that you need does come through. That can, look anything from like I mentioned, like following up on maybe like a class that wasn't able to be registered, or just if someone said they'd get back to you, pinging them again in 3 days if you haven't heard back from them. So you definitely need to have this kind of self-starter mentality. And then what you need to do is use that to get the kind of table stakes, hard skills that you're going to need in your career, right? At the end of the day, if you want to be a software developer, you need to know how to write software. There's just no getting around that. So take the time, invest in those, in the writing of software skills, And that's going to get you a long ways as well. The third thing that I'll say is actually critically important as well is your communication skills. Not just your oral skills, not just your speaking skills, but also your written skills. If you're pursuing a 4-year degree in computer science, take an English credit, right? Invest in those skills that allow you to communicate with other people, because that's what I do half of my day as a software engineer. I'm not just writing code all day. The other big part of it is me talking to other engineers, sharing ideas, and trying to figure out what the best solution to any given problem or challenges that we have. So yeah, so one, like, be a self-starter, figure out, like, beg, borrow, and steal, do what you got to do to get the thing done. 2, develop your hard skills, right? Get good at writing software. This, for most people, this means getting a 4-year college degree. That's just where you're going to learn the basics and the fundamentals. And then 3, work on your communication skills. Work on your ability to communicate and talk with other people. If you have the opportunity to take, like, say, like, an English class where you can, like, learn, like, better grammar, things like that. It seems like a small thing, but at the end of the day, it actually really helps.
Awesome. Great pointers from someone like yourself, and sharing those type of pointers and advice. It's very critical right now, even though we are in a different environment with remote learning, virtual, as we know. Today, it's a big day. It's June 15 in California. Things have opened up, and at the end of the day, you still want to make sure that these young people become not only part of the next generation of tech talent, but they also understand the type of skills and communication and soft skills and hard skills that they need to possess to pursue those jobs. So thank you for sharing those. Now let's go into a little bit more about, away from the role that you have done with the organization, which you have also shared with everybody, but away from that, what do you think, Kurtis, that makes this organization different from other nonprofit organizations that perhaps you have volunteered in the past?
I love answering this question because you're not the first person to ask. DevMission is different in that it is the only organization that I'm aware of that will take somebody from 0 to 1, right? DevMission will take in someone with no prior knowledge whatsoever and will help bootstrap them, help them get just even started, get their foot in the door about learning a career in a kind of STEM field. So you go and look at, say, maybe something like a coding boot camp or some of the other nonprofits that are out there. They all kind of assume that you have some basic fundamental knowledge. DevMission doesn't do that. They start you from square one and they say, okay, cool, here's what you need to do, and here's how we get you started. We're going to give you the basics. And it's great in that there's a bunch of other programs out there, like, say, Year Up, that DevMission can then feed into, or the Uber Fellowship Program that DevMission can then feed into. That make it really great to partner with as one of those other organizations, because they make sure that as one of those other organizations, you're getting quality candidates. We've had a ton of of our alumni go to, say, something like Year Up, and they come back to us. Year Up comes back to us and says, hey, like, this was really good. This person worked out really well. Do you have any more for us? And so I think that's kind of what positions DevMission uniquely, is that they're at the very start of anybody's journey into a STEM career. I don't know of any other organizations that are doing that.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know you have done such a valuable job to continue to build that career pathway and work-based learning opportunities for the young people. Those are the questions that I have for today, but you know me, I always come out of a hat with different questions. So I got one for you that I feel is going to be an awesome one to share with the audience. So with all the respect, I believe that you have accomplished so much in your short life, in your career, in your journey. I've seen the growth, not only from when I started working with you, but how you continue to amaze the opportunities you create for the young people and the talent that is homegrown, born and raised here in San Francisco. But if I ask, what is Kurtis looking forward to do in the next 5 years? And that could be professional goal, personal growth, whatever that is. Let's hear from you, because this is an exciting interview.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Where do I see myself in 5 years? What do I hope is going on in the future? from a DevMission perspective, I look forward to us continuing to grow the organization and serve more young adults, right? I want to grow our base, but at the same time, like I mentioned before, what I really want to see is us harden and develop and really make a robust kind of pipeline for feeding young adults in San Francisco directly into the tech field. I think we've made a lot of great progress in like starting to build the foundations of that pipeline, but there's still just a lot more work to do. So I'm really excited to see what happens there. Personally, I just had my first child, a daughter. Her name's Parker, and I can't wait to see how she's going to grow and how she's going to develop. So, develop like growing my family is something that I'm like personally really looking forward to. I just had, today is actually my 2-year anniversary with my wife, so we've been married for 2 years. Excited to kind of to keep growing with her. We're doing great stuff together. And I guess, professionally, to continue growing in my career, I think I've got a lot of the kind of tech fundamentals down, and now the next thing for me to grow into is learning how to work within a large organization like Uber, figuring out how to coordinate teams with vastly different goals and teams with conflicting priorities and get everybody moving in the same direction. So kind of growing as a leader in that sense is what I'm kind of looking forward to professionally.
Wow, that was a great answer. And I wasn't expecting to hear those wonderful words from you, but I knew if I asked that question, not only we're going to share how we need to continue to do better work with our organization that we have put together, but also your personal. And as we continue to do this work, DevMission, it's a family-oriented approach, and we really value that even board members, and now they have kids. It's amazing to see, right, what they're doing, and they're still committed to do this amazing work. So Kurtis, with that, we want to thank you for being part of our Inside DevMission episode number 9. I cannot wait to see you in person. I cannot wait to be working with you again on the ground level, coming to our headquarters, going to Uber for corporate site visits, or being able to meet with wonderful volunteers at that organization. And please let everybody know at Uber that we really value their support. From everyone that has made happen the Uber Fellowship Program, Christina, to Ryan, to other volunteers that have not only done an amazing job to coach and support these young people, but everyone that continues to believe in what we're doing. So please deliver that message to all of them. And with that, Kurtis, we want to wrap up the call today. Thank you for being so open to the audience out there, and congratulations on your 2-year anniversary and all the wonderful successes you're going to have. And we want to be part of that along with your family. So thank you, Kurtis. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you when DevMission becomes on the ground to continue to build the next generation of tech talent inside our headquarters and other affordable housing communities. Muchas gracias, Kurtis.
Thank you, Leo.